Just when you thought AEW press conferences couldn't get any more embarrassing, they totally redeemed themselves. The AEW Full Gear Media Scrum had one of the worst questions in AEW Media Scrum history, which is the same thing as being one of the worst players on the Jacksonville Jaguars, because they're already a bad team. So the worst player on the worst team is an abomination. AEW's amateur hour, Tony-friendly media keeps embarrassing itself. And it's no coincidence that the only people allowed in the room are the most mentally disturbed, tribalistic, low IQ, brain-dead trolls in the IWC. They're like Donald Trump's cabinet, but if they were only loyal to insanity. So, like Donald Trump's cabinet.
Any questions for Mariah May, who is still the women's world champion?
Don't be shy. What's wrong? You guys don't like women's wrrestling?
Okay.
Do you have any questions? You guys like to tweet a lot? Any other questions?
I apologize for
Anything
being honest.
interesting to add? Anyone?
Last call, anyone? I think they are just stunned by the glamour.
Good work, guys. You have a bright future in media.
Thank you.
As long as Tony protects these scrums from common sense, there will never be a real press conference with insightful questions. Just glorified fan fests. That's why the only thing MJF skips more than a fan fest is a media scrum. Today, we're going to talk about AEW's dumbest question ever, why the press conferences will only get worse, and how the colonizing and Karenizing of pro wrestling media continues to leave AEW in the dark when it comes to simple conversations about race. Subscribe and Swahili with a sticker. Similar to his failed football team in 2024, Tony Khan's AEW Media Scrums are amateur hour. He only wants people there if they're friendly and loyal to him. They're a small, pathetic army of bot-like Twitter accounts that spend all their time kissing Tony Khan's ass, just praying he'll save a podcaster with a job at AEW, as he's been known to do. The AEW Media Scrum is far from a press conference. It's an internet wrestling circle jerk filled with Tony Khan minions, no different from the minions from Despicable Me. In fact, the only difference are the yellow minions are far more adorable and speak better English. During a Take No Prisoners appearance, MVP dropped one of the coldest bars in Media Scrum history.
Aria from F4WOnline.com. A few years
From
ago,
what?
From F4WOnline.
What is that?
It's a wrestling news website.
The Wrestling Observer newsletter.
No, we don't entertain any questions from that nerd. Next question.
God.
This was shades of the infamous CM Punk Media Scrum because it showed complete disrespect for Tony Khan as an authority figure. Dave Meltzer is literally Tony Khan's hero. MVP knows that. Tony Khan was once a junior correspondent for the Wrestling Observer newsletter, which is like funding Jill Stein's campaign with CryptoZoo. But MVP didn't give a fuck, because like most people who don't respect their boss, Montel ain't scared of no damn Tony Khan. Shortly after its peak, the press conference quickly bottomed out. Fresh off his win over former AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland, Bobby Lashley was asked a tone-deaf, race-baiting question by culturally clueless Karen, thirsty for a narrative.
I just wanted to ask what it was like to come into a company and see so many black champions and what it meant to challenge right off the bat, essentially, a former black world champion.
I don't know, kind of like wrestling black world champions in WWE? Play cracker games, win cracker prizes, like the stickers in a Cracker Jack box. Speaking of stickers, Fightful Karen's question was almost as bad as former Commanders quarterback Doug Williams being asked, "How long have you been a black quarterback?" Or even Michael P.S. Hayes allegedly saying black people don't need a gimmick because being black was their gimmick. AEW Sickos have been trying to push this bullshit narrative about black men on WWE pay-per-views. AEW stands' last resort in trying to eliminate the stench of uncool is to blame WWE for not pushing black men in specific situations. Now that they're moving to buildings as small as their ticket sales, AEW is spiraling so bad, one of their final options is to pretend to care about us. Well, maybe if you would have featured more black talent when I was talking about this in good faith, since day one, AEW wouldn't be a giant chessboard in need of a black pawn. But instead of playing her game and being used as part of a white woman's narrative about race, Bobby Lashley shut Becky's shit down.
See, I don't like that. I don't like that black champion. It's just a champion. See, we've normalized this already, and that's what I want to do with it. You winning a title as a black champion and there's other black champions here, we can kind of erase that word now. We could just say champion.
If kayfabe Karen would have known this was going to be the answer to her cringe question about black champions, she probably would have gone with one of her less risky questions and asked if Bobby was one of the good ones. In fact, if kayfabe Karen wants to appropriate my far more entertaining black perspective, allow me to return the favor with a new segment here on PWB called 5 Things, because here's 5 clickbait headlines Kate was ready to write before her Bobby Lashley question. Number 5, brave podcaster points out Bobby Lashley is black, gets lifetime pass to the cookout. Number 4, Pro Wrestling Karen gets MVP's business card after groundbreaking question about black champions. Number 3, micro-influencer becomes the 4th black skin tone emoji after asking about Bobby's black skin. Number 2, AEW exposes WWE as racist with one question from Fightful Goddess. And number 1, white woman to be mouthpiece for Nation of Domination reboot. This was the raisins in potato salad of questions, and the type of lazy line of questioning that only comes from people outside the culture who never took the time to dive into the deep and nuanced discussion about race in wrestling. Go listen to how I talk about African NXT pretty much every week on this channel. For me, NXT is the wrestling show of the year in 2024. It's my favorite wrestling show because it feels like it's for me, for us. I've never had that in my lifetime of watching wrestling, and it's all I've ever wanted. It's booked by HBK, but it's giving Tyler Perry Presents. And it has nothing to do with black champions, by the way. There could be 0 black champions in African NXT, and you would hear exactly 0 complaints from me. Because there are so many established black stars, none of them need a fake brass ring to check the representation box. African NXT actually took time for development beyond skin color, which is so much more important to the process of becoming a star. NXT gives viewers the entire spectrum of blackness, from African to Southeastern to the Midwest to suburban to artsy and everything in between, because being a black champion is not their gimmick. Kayfabe Karen was exposed, and just as the Fightful brand basks in cyberbullying and harassing people over their opinions about wrestling, Kate got that same exact treatment. Live by the trolls, die by the trolls. In fact, she was roasted so bad she ran off to Blue Sky, which I guess is like dying on Twitter and going to heaven.
Hi, Ashley with the White Wrestling Federation podcast.
Hi, Ashley.
I know you're upset that Kamala lost, so what kind of things are you doing to cope with it?
You're just assuming how I voted without asking?
Oh my God, you voted for...
No, I ain't say all that. It's just you understand the problem with that line of questioning, right?
I feel very attacked.
No one's
yelling. Protected. I'm going to Blue Sky. But before I do, I have one final question.
Go ahead.
Can I touch your hair?
What? Not everybody has to hop on the racial bandwagon, which I hear travels through the Underground Railroad. If you're uncomfortable talking about race, guess what? That's fine. There are plenty of people who have no problem sharing their perspective on the matter across the entire spectrum. It's one of the many reasons I started this channel. Personally, I love talking about race. I relate to it. I'm a proud black man, and I love witnessing and analyzing the evolution of blacks in wrestling in real time. Bobby's answer to Kate's cringe question pointed to this evolution because, as he said, black world champions have been normalized already. Black champions in general are normalized. So no, Caitlin, you will not be getting an Essence Award for bringing it up. Bobby's perspective isn't the only correct answer to a question about black champions either. It just sent the right message to untalented AEW loyalists looking to weaponize black talent for bad faith criticism of WWE.
Hi, I'm Kelly with the Safe Space podcast.
Hi, I'm Matthew with the Can I Say It While Singing a Tupac Song podcast.
Adam with the Black Wrestling podcast. The podcast is white owned. My name is Adam Black.
AEW and its sickos are crashing out hard. Several of them are now blaming Twitter for the bad perception of AEW and are now joining black champion Becky on Blue Sky. Hilarious. The world has become so divisive that now there's 2 Twitters. Listen, I plan to join Blue Sky the second I get free time on my hands after sending you mighty subscribers your stickers and brother bracelets. I love you too. I'm going to Blue Sky not to run from Twitter, but in addition to it, like adding to a portfolio, because I'm a businessman. Blue Sky is just another audience and business opportunity for us to culturalize. I've invested in my talent for years, and I've learned that talent translates in every language. Just like being uncool translates in every language. Like, what country doesn't know Nickelback? Brother, I love Twitter. Talk about how toxic it is all you want. I don't take any of that shit personally. Like MVP in WWE, it's just business. I'm sure I've gotten backlash once or twice on Twitter, and it just makes me harder every time it happens. Because I stand on business, and my business is pro wrestling analysis. I'll defend anybody who wants to criticize me because I believe in myself too much to take mean tweets personally. When it comes to me, there's no such thing as mean tweets, just different perspectives. And at the end of the day, love and hate are the same exact thing. People who complain about Twitter's toxicity are on there for the wrong reasons. They're obsessed. They're not logged into Twitter. Twitter is logged into them. The algorithm is in control of a lot of the AEW Virginverse. And it's messed some of these people up so bad, they've gaslit themselves into thinking that it's all Elon's fault and has nothing to do with self-control. They're not promoting themselves, they're poisoning themselves. They're addicted to reading and responding to every comment. Out here tweeting till their fat little sausage fingers turn redder than the pimples under David Bix's neckbeard. When left to their own devices, seasoned sickos like Trevor Dame will make wild posts about children, like this bomb about the Rizzler, a post he just had to delete because the closest Trevor will ever come to engaging with a woman is knocking on a mother's door because of Megan's Law. And the more Trevor tried to over-explain and apologize for the deleted tweet, the creepier it made him look. Big Lame Dame's the type of guy destined for Blue Sky, not because he quit the Bird app, but because he's not allowed within 1,000 feet of X. AEW tribalists are migrating to left-wing Twitter, like they're all gonna just cluster together in a safe space and what, do the Care Bear stare to magically bring AEW back to bigger buildings? Good luck with that.
Can I use you as a reference the next time I say my best friend is black?
So, how long have you been a black content creator?
Would you like to be referred to as black, African American, or colored?
How about Alfred? Can you rank the following from 1 to 5? Diversity, equity, inclusion, representation, the border wall, and Ukraine. Okay, first of all, that's 6 things. And are you just throwing out random political buzzwords? The economy, inflation. Okay, next question, please. Recession.
Hi, my name is Daniel Daishiki with the Daniel Daishiki Show.
Hi, Daniel.
Who's your favorite wrestler and why is it Booker T?
Okay, that's enough for me. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, it looks like that's your press conference. Free powdered donuts are in the back. I just had one. It's delicious. And the AEW Media Freak-Off starts in an hour.
There's a reason my AEW criticism goes viral on YouTube, YouTube Shorts, IG Reels, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and inevitably Blue Sky. It's because AEW sucks right now, and that shit translates on every app. If the sickos think there's some grand conspiracy against AEW, they're right. It's a conspiracy against a bad wrestling product and an entire ecosystem of sycophants who get roasted whether they're on a bird app or a butterfly app. This is usually where I sign off, maybe with a closing question where I ask, should I join Blue Sky? Tell me in the comments. But after AEW's latest media scrum meltdown, I'm gonna just leave you with advice from my idol and yours.
I think there are many whites who act friendly toward Negroes. A fox acts friendly toward the lamb. And usually the fox is the one who ends up with the lamb chop on his plate. The wolf doesn't act friendly, and therefore the wolf has more difficulty in getting the lamb chop in his plate.
I'd like to point out, though, that...
I say that because it is usually if you study the structure of the Negro community, economically, politically, civically, psychologically, and otherwise, it's controlled by the white liberal, who usually poses as the friend of the Negro, who actually differs from the white conservative in the same way that the fox differs from the wolf. Their appetite is the same. Their motives are the same. It's only their mannerisms and methods that differ.